Hi. For those who haven't noticed, I've been connecting my blog and my podcast with one theme, or a couple of themes. And that is on purpose because they're all interconnected to each other. Yesterday I was talking about the secrecy that's going on in D.C. and how we're starting to see a lot of the pushback into that. And before that, I was talking about the backstory about narcissism and narcissists to understand exactly the mind of Donald Trump and possibly Elon Musk too. Because all of this chaos is happening because of Elon. And whether or not Donald Trump is involved, we don't know, because nobody seems to know what exactly is going on here. But it's nice to see that we are finally getting pushback from the legal system and from people, because yesterday, I think, was the very first time that I could recall that every state and cities protested in regards to what Elon Musk is doing. And they have a right to do this because, number one, we did not vote for Elon. He was nominated by Trump for any position whatsoever. He wasn't approved by Congress for anything to do. And frankly, whatever it is that he's doing is against the law. And I'm not really saying that Elon is anywhere in the building or anything like that, but his teenagers that he did hire to hack the system are. And late last night we found out that the judge at the DOJ and the courts have agreed to prohibit Elon Musk from accessing any sensitive material whatsoever. Whether or not that is going to stick is an entirely different story, because, like Trump, Elon hates the law. He doesn't like the legal system. There is a reason why he moved his plant and built an entire town in Texas. There is a reason why he moved Twitter out of California. But while all this is going on, a very interesting and strange development happened, where out of the blue, Donald Trump said he's going to take over Gaza. This is beyond mind-boggling because nobody saw this coming. Nobody even knew about it. And I don't even think Benjamin Netanyahu knew about it, because they were having a press conference with the two of them, and then over the conference, Trump blurts out, "We're taking over Gaza, and we're moving moving all the Palestinians to Jordan and Egypt." And this raises a few problems that I'm going to cover today. The first one is, by the way, if you saw the look on Netanyahu's face, he probably didn't know this was coming either. He probably had no idea this was happening. But Trump just blurted out of the blue, "We're going to take over Gaza." Something that, for reasons I don't fathom, it's not. I mean, I have my theories, and I'll get to that. But first off, ethnic cleansing. Is that what you're trying to do? You're ethnic cleansing, saying, "We're going to take over Gaza, so you get rid of, so let's get rid of all these Palestinians and let's give them to Jordan and Egypt." Have you asked? First of all, we are at peace with Jordan and Egypt and have been for many years. But are you going to just give them over to Jordan and Egypt without asking them if they want them? Jordan doesn't want them. Egypt certainly doesn't want them. Why are you creating a problem that is unnecessary? Are you trying to violate the terms of the ceasefire that President Biden negotiated in good faith? Are you trying to change the terms without telling a single person that you're doing that? You can't just take people and relocate them without telling anybody you're doing it. I mean, common sense, obviously, but you can't do that. But it's interesting for me to see that in all of this aspect that's going on with Elon, Donald Trump is focusing on Gaza. And when he was asked what made him do this, his answer was basically, it's what America wants. It's what is best for Israel. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Who told you this? The entire world is against this. I was watching several of the news shows last night, and they were discussing, this is one of the main topics last night, and nobody is for this. Nobody even understands what the rationale is. My speculation on this is that it's a territory grab. He already pissed off Greenland. He already pissed off Canada. He already pissed off, the South America. Pissed off China. And now he's about to piss off Israel. I mean, is he trying to get into the Guinness records for the most countries he can piss off in the first 100 days of being in office? Because he's doing a hell of a good job of doing that. I mean, he can't have Greenland, and he can't have the Panama Canal, so he's going to try to take over Gaza, and basically get out, we're going to take over. It's a power grab. It's a territorial thing. He's like a kitty cat. He's like a kitty cat in heat, trying to find his territory and doing it by chasing everybody out. I don't need my tax dollars, and I'm sure you don't want your tax dollars going to turn Gaza into another American territory. And I have watched on Facebook. The interesting thing is how many people are so happy about this. They have no idea what the hell is going on in Gaza, but because Trump said it, they are so happy about it. And they're starting to call it Mara Gaza. That's what they're calling it, Mara Gaza. And one person actually, does this mean we won't need passports to go to Israel anymore? I mean, this is the most asinine thing I've ever seen. I've seen so far. Nobody knows why Donald Trump did this. Nobody knows where it came from. But I'm seeing his supporters saying, "Wow, finally a president that is actually making Gaza great again, or making Gaza part of America." Nobody asked for this. Nobody wants it. This is going to start a war. Do you think that Lebanon is going to sit down and be happy with this? Do you think Syria is going to be happy with this? Do you think any of the Middle Eastern countries that border Gaza are going to be happy with this? All Donald Trump sees in his delusional world that's living in his head, which I call Trump land, it's all about a power grab. All he sees is money signs. He wants to put real estate in Gaza. AKA, he wants a golf course in Gaza. He wants a Trump hotel and or casino in Gaza. That is why he wants Gaza. That is now I'm speculating here because obviously nobody knows the reason. But so I'm speculating this, and it's probably the most. It's probably the one that makes the most sense. It's probably the one that makes the most sense, but it's also kind of a dangerous thing. First of all, why do you want Gaza? Why do you want Gaza? Why do you think American troops are going to be interested? What makes you think that Israel wants American troops in Gaza? Why do you think they want an American military base in Gaza? What did you promise Netanyahu? Assuming Prime Minister Netanyahu knows about this, what did you promise him in return? And I say promise in quotes, in order for you to actually say this publicly. What did you promise, quote unquote, him in order for him to do this? Or are you putting an agreement on taking it by force? Because I don't see why America needs Gaza. I don't see why it needs to be in American territory. And it's not going to... I don't even know if it's in violation of the ceasefire. But if it is, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't see this ending well. I see this as Donald Trump trying to bite off more than he can chew. And actually putting Americans in danger who would actually be in Israel. Do you think Iran is going to allow America to take Gaza? Do you think Syria would? What about Lebanon? What about Saudi Arabia? What about Jordan, Egypt? Do you really think they're all going to allow Gaza? Do you think Americans want this? For what reason does Trump need a hotel in the Gaza Strip? For what reason does he need a golf course? For what reason does he need... I'm sorry about that, that's my dryer. For what reason does he need... For what reason does he need all this? And my other speculation for this dimension of this is probably deflecting. It's probably deflecting from what's actually going on because he doesn't want to deal with it, which is typical narcissistic behavior. When they don't want to deal with something, they deflect and say something else. It's an old playbook that narcissists use. When you don't want to deal with an issue, you create a new. You make up a new issue, and people will focus on that instead of dealing with the other problem. Because if they start dealing with this new issue, then you can focus on the other thing, and in hopes that people will forget about it. Except people aren't forgetting about it, because there was massive protests in almost every state in the United States. People were protesting about Elon, how he has to go, how we didn't vote for him, how he is not authorized to do anything. Congress, he was unnominated to any position. Congress didn't approve him or any position. He may or may not have security clearance on anything. And now that he finished with the Department of Treasury, he's now gone to Medicaid and Medicare and getting those. And Lawrence O'Donnell actually knows what he's talking about because he actually worked in the White House administration at some point, so he knows the rules and the laws. He said, even if it's a read-only file that they're getting, we will never know what exactly the modus operandi of Musk was. We may never know why he is doing what he's doing. Is he taking this all and selling it to the highest bidder, selling it to our enemies? Is he trying to sell us out? Is he trying to get world domination? Or is there a silent coup going on without us realizing it? Is there another January 6th happening right under our nose and we know nothing about it? And the judges people are and the Democrats are starting to raise the alarm. And it's a very problematic thing. There was chaos that broke out in the House yesterday because the Democrats were trying to subpoena Elon Musk, and the head of the chairman of the Finance Committee, of the Oversight Committee, James Comer, the one that brought a sham investigation to the floor about Hunter Biden and did a sham investigation about a case that did not exist against Hunter Biden. That same James Comer told the Democrats on the floor to shut up and didn't want to hear it. But the Democrats, who are actually doing their job, saying they demand answers and they want the answers now, and we're going to get them. We are going to subpoena Elon Musk, and he's going to have to answer for what he did, for what he's doing. And James Comer, the head of the Oversight Committee, in a word, banged his gavel and said, "Shut up. We're not really interested. We have other things that are more important to us, and that is it." In those words, and not in those exact words, this is really why are the Republicans not concerned about this at all? Because it affects them too. It's affecting them too. So why are they not concerned? Are they afraid of Donald Trump? Did Donald Trump threaten them? Did Donald Trump promise them things? This is a serious matter. And this could actually be long-term harm to either the country or to us or to both. Because once he's accessed our personal information, he has the freedom to do whatever the hell he wants with it, and there's nothing we can do to prevent that. And essentially putting us in danger. Is he trying to enrich his pockets even richer? This is a constitutional crisis, my friends, because we want answers and unfortunately the House and the Senate are Republican controlled. And because of that, Donald Trump has them exactly where he wants them to be. And just remember, today is February 6th. We are a month away from a government shutdown. And you would think that would be a priority for the Republicans to be discussing, right? You would think that they would be in the House right now discussing a long-term bill to prevent a shutdown. But I'm convinced that this is exactly what Donald Trump wants. He wants to sow chaos because, as I said in another podcast, Donald Trump loves chaos. And the chaos is a distraction for what he really wants to do. And what he really wants to do, we don't know that. Because the chaos is what we are all discussing. The chaos is protesting, the fighting amongst each other, the division, the divide. This is what a narcissist does. And so this is what he's doing. Because this way, when there is a shutdown, he can A, blame the Democrats, as he always has. 2, Elon Musk can do even more harm because if the government is shut down, that means there's no employees because they can't work. And so Elon Musk can go in there and do whatever he wants without anybody interrupt, without him being disturbed. And Donald Trump continues doing what he's doing because the employees can't work because there's a shutdown. And if there's a shutdown, that's basically the government on strike. And so when you sow chaos, people are more focused on the problems. When there's chaos, people are focused on the panicking and the worriness, the protesting. And so when you're doing that, people aren't actually dealing with other things that need to be dealt with because they're focusing on the chaos that's been caused and trying to figure out how to fix it. And while that's going on, Donald Trump can do what he wants to do because everyone is busy elsewhere. This is a pattern. The Democrats are now taking revenge by withholding every single nomination vote of Donald Trump's. Will it backfire? Probably. But the Democrats are going to do what they need to do to protect the American citizens and the country that she protects. What does Donald Trump want to do? Fire every single Democrat in the House and Senate? Forget the fact that he doesn't really care, but what's he going to do? Fire every single person and just make sure it's only Republicans in the House? You know it's a problem when the court systems are working overtime. But they're working too fast. But they're going to start getting backlog because every day Trump is signing a new executive order that he has no authority to initiate. And so while the courts are busy with one case, Trump is signing another executive order to distract from the other, and that will distract from the other ones. Because just yesterday, Maryland again, a court in Maryland blocked the 14th Amendment, the executive order of the birthright citizenship from being activated, because she said, in my lifetime, that the 14th Amendment has been around for over 150 years, and no court has ever ruled against it. I do not want to be the first one. And she's right. The courts are basically upholding the law and saying, it's in the Constitution, it is the law of the land, no executive order you sign is going to change that effect. And in effect, if you punish people for actually not carrying out that order that you signed, if you punish them, then you truly are a traitor to the United States. Because when people took the oath for their jobs, it was they uphold to protect and serve the best interests of the United States of America. And by the way, if anybody noticed, when Trump was being sworn in, he did not have his hand on the Bible. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't do it because he's not going to because he doesn't make promises that he can't keep, and it wouldn't have made a difference because you swearing on a Bible is basically just facing a sacred book, because you would swear on the Bible only to break it within a second. I don't know if anybody noticed that. But anyway, the Gaza thing is a stupid idea. But it is amazing to me how, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to say this because I can say it, but I haven't seen it from anybody else right now. But I've seen it from a lot of the Jews. on my own Facebook, where they're all happy, where they wasted no time in praising Donald Trump for doing this. They have no idea why he's doing it. They have no idea why he said it. But because he's Donald Trump, they support this idea. Nobody wants this idea. Nobody likes this idea, and the majority of people are against it, Americans and the world. But MAGA and the supporters, they're for it. And you can't really speak against it because they'll curse you out and attack you for it. It's a power grab, plain and simple. That's all it is. He wants the territory. Narcissists don't think. Narcissists will just do, and when it goes south, he'll have a scapegoat. It could be Bibi Netanyahu. It could be the media. We'll probably say they made it up. We don't know. But I guarantee you this will go south, and it'll go south very quickly. And once it goes south, Trump will distance himself from it by blaming somebody else for it and making them suffer for it, because that is what he does. I am against the Gaza deal. I don't think it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you're going to do the deal, at least tell me why. Tell us why do you think this is a good idea, and argue it. What is the end game here? To build real estate there? To build homes there? You need to go all the way to Gaza to do that? You're trying for... Shouldn't you be focusing on what you said you were going to do in your first day in office to end the Ukrainian war within 24 hours? And not once have you focused on the Ukrainian war. Not once has Donald Trump focused on the Ukrainian war. What has he been doing since day one? Making threats, making demands, making illegal executive orders that he has no authorization to do, giving Elon Musk the keys to Pandora's box. And in the meantime, Ukraine is still in a war. And egg prices are through the roof. Wasn't that a campaign promise, sir? Wasn't that a campaign promise of yours to say, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours? Okay. Did you do it? Have you mentioned Ukraine once? No, you have not. Have you mentioned egg prices when you said you could? All you did was say, I can lower it. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We already knew that. Because you don't control the grocery supplies. That's what the farmers are doing. Well, no, you're deporting all the farmers, so you're basically making it worse regardless. So even if there was no problem with the eggs right now, you just created that problem because you deported all the farmers. And the majority of the farmers are immigrants. So it is what it is, right? So you're focusing. So rather than focusing on what you said you're going to do your actual job. You don't want the war. You said you're going to end the war in Ukraine. Why are you not focusing on ending the war in Ukraine? Why are you so concerned about the Gaza Strip in Israel? Why is that a priority? At no point during your campaign speech did you say anything about taking Gaza over. At no point in your campaign. And when you had your inauguration speech, you didn't mention Gaza either. This is something that just came out of the blue. It was like basically having verbal diarrhea. It was in your head. It was in Trump land. And so you brought it out into the open. And nobody knew it was coming. Not even, most likely, the Prime Minister. But we have a war in Ukraine, like you said you're going to end, and you didn't end it. You declared a national emergency at a border that didn't exist. What's going on? What's happening now is a national emergency and a constitutional crisis. And all you're doing is holding a press conference telling us about how America is going to be taking over Gaza. That's your priority. That's pretty fucked up. And it's pretty kind of sad, really, that the American people are scared and afraid, and your focus is on territorial land grabs for power. But the fact that Elon Musk is stealing from America and from Americans, that's okay, right? And I have to assume that that's what he's doing because I don't know what he's doing. Nobody knows what he's doing. Why did Donald Trump even give the keys to Elon Musk? What did Elon tell him? What was the reasoning? Did Elon play him? Is Elon playing him? Or is he trying to hold Americans hostage until Elon gets what he wants? And if that's the case, then what does he want? Somebody told me late last night, this was called Mussolini. Because Donald Trump is supposed to be the president, and yet Musk is the one pulling the strings. Go figure that one out. Elon Musk is most likely playing Trump, and Trump is very gullible. I don't know who's worse of a narcissist, Elon Musk or Donald Trump. I don't know who's a bigger manipulator, Elon Musk or Donald Trump. But we also have a right to know what's going on with what Elon is doing. Since it's our stuff he's playing with, and dangerously so, we have a right to know what is actually going on. And that's simply what Democrats wanted to do yesterday until they were told to shut the fuck up. This is our new reality of Congress right now, where no one is getting along, and everyone is pitting each other against the other, and the Republicans are saying, if Donald Trump sent Elon Musk to do it, he's got to have a reason for it, and what the reason is, we'll find out when the time is right. You guys don't care, because you guys are rich with money. You guys have your pockets enriched, so you don't care. So it's not going to harm you, but it'll harm an ordinary American like me and like you and anyone else that's listening to this. So what do you care? You'll have a job. At the end of the day, you'll have a job. You'll be paid for your job because our tax dollars are paying your salary. But if we don't have a job, how are you going to get paid? If we don't have a job, we're not paying taxes. And if we're not paying taxes, you're not getting paid. And if you're not getting paid, then neither is the IRS. And if the IRS isn't getting paid, the country can't function. And by the way, the Department of Treasury is a very important building because that is the department, as far as I know, that is the department that pays our allies for goods and services. That's how we pay off our debts. That is why you can't just shut down the Department of Treasury, at your whim because you deem it unnecessary. Remember that. We pay our taxes. But I proposed yesterday that we should boycott and not pay our taxes in retaliation for what Musk is doing. Because if we don't pay our taxes, then the government doesn't get money. If the government doesn't have money, they can't function. And we're not functioning anyway. Because all this money that Congress has already appropriated got appropriated for reasons, with specifics, because you need money for infrastructure, right? You need money to pay your bills, to pay your debts. You need money to survive. You need money to run programs. You need money, and when you have infrastructure falling apart, why does New York City made a congestion pricing? Because the subway system, one of the reasons the subway system has an aging, outdated system that's crumbling because that system was built over 100 years. That system in the subway was built over 100 years ago with equipment and technology that's way outdated. And this is why the subways aren't working. This is why they get closed for a weekend. This is why there's always shutdowns and everything, because they are trying to upgrade the system to modernize it. And they need money. And the money's got to come from somewhere, right? And so you do congestion pricing. I don't agree with congestion. Now, I don't drive, but I don't agree with congestion pricing either because it does affect me. Because congestion pricing will affect Uber, Lyft, taxi cabs, restaurants most likely, and that's what affects. It affects. But when the federal government, Pam Bondi, who started her job as in the Department of Justice just a few hours ago, already said she's withholding money from sanctuary cities. That is illegal because that money has already been appropriated by Congress. Pam Bondi is a lawyer. She was the Attorney General in the state of Florida, not surprisingly, but she was the Attorney General in the state of Florida. She is a lawyer. She should know the laws. You cannot withhold money from sanctuary cities simply because your boss, Donald Trump, told you to do so. Because the Department of Justice doesn't work for the President of the United States. The Department of Justice works for the United States of America and for its people. That is it. So when Trump says, do not give this money to the sanctuary cities because they aren't cooperating, well, that is illegal because that is money Congress already allocated for these cities. And when the cities start to crumble, we will just go to Donald Trump and say, this is your fault. You didn't want to give us the money, and so now we have broken roads, people can't drive on the roads, and we have a subway system that can no longer function. And Donald Trump will say, blame your governor. Blame your mayor. This podcast is not going to be that long because I don't really have anything to say today, but this is apparently going to die down at some point. But as far as I'm concerned, the Gaza is a complete distraction from what's really going on because Donald Trump doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want to be a president. He wants to be a power. He wants to be hungry with power and basically getting revenge on every single person that wronged him, which is why he wants to fire everybody who was in the J6. He wants to fire, he wants to prosecute Biden, Hunter Biden, Liz Cheney. This is why they were pardoned, for exactly this reason. And that is not a president. That is a dictator. That is an authoritarian leader. That is what Viktor Orban has done. And if Donald Trump goes after the press because, he's unfavorable, and just today he did that. He's demanding that 60 Minutes get off the air and that CBS's license gets revoked. And the FCC chairman is a Trump nominee, is a Trump pick. And just today he said this. He has some sort of event. He's angry at CBS because of Kamala Harris's interview. Does that make any sense to any single person out there? He's pissed off at CBS because they treated Kamala Harris with respect. Because he's not happy with the way it turned out. It's a frivolous lawsuit, yes, but it's a frivolous lawsuit, yes, but because of his anger towards 60 Minutes, he wants it canceled and he wants the license of CBS revoked, which means they would not be allowed to legally broadcast, which means they would have dead air and it would go dark. And with the head of the FCC, a Trump pick and most likely a Trump loyalist, I wouldn't be surprised if this actually happens. But think about that for a second. Right now, we have a free press, a free and independent press. If Trump comes after the press and decides that there's only one news station that's the only true news, then we are all screwed. Because the free press is what gets us the facts. And speaking of the facts, somebody commented on my Facebook about how the only way this can be fixed is during the midterm elections. And that's a fact. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to midterm elections, the only way to fix this is to vote all these idiots in the House out and give control back to the Democrats on both sides. Because if the House and the Senate right now were controlled by the Democrats, I can assure you right now, a subpoena would have gone out to Elon Musk, no questions asked. None of Trump's nominees would be confirmed, and they would put another impeachment trial up. Having said that, Elon Musk would not honor that subpoena, and they would end up having him held in contempt of court, because Elon Musk despises the law more than Donald Trump, and we've seen that before. But at least they would be but at least they would never tell Republicans to shut the fuck up when they're demanding answers, because that is not a professional thing, and that is not what you do. You are a congressman because your constituents voted you in, because they trust you to do the job of representing them and their state. And if they're not going to do their job, then we vote them out. So yes, I told my friend on Facebook that's facts. That's a fact. And we have to vote them out and bring law and order back to the House and the Senate. Because Nancy Pelosi would never have allowed this. If this was happening, Nancy Pelosi would not allow this to happen. But Mike Johnson is a patsy with no spine and basically became Trump's yes man by selling his soul. At least the Democrats still have something to do. And that is important, because the longer the Democrats are fighting this and demanding answers to what we're doing, all hope isn't lost yet. And we still have a fighting chance. Remember, make your voice heard, because in a lot of countries that are dictatorships, like China, they don't care what you do. President Zhang in China doesn't care for the people. He doesn't care there's a tariff in China that will affect the Chinese people, because it's a dictatorship, and he doesn't care about the people who do not have a voice. It's my way or no way. And we cannot go down that path here in the United States. As Benjamin Franklin said, it's a republic if you can keep it. And if we can't keep it, then what do you got? So it's nice that everybody is coming together in unity, protesting, having this uprising and fighting. And the Democrat congressmen and senators are joining in this crusade before it gets to the point where it's harmful and it's beyond repair. Donald Trump doesn't care, nor does Elon Musk care, and evidently neither do the Republicans. MAGA, his supporters, and all the right-wingers are praising Trump for everything he's doing and saying how he's the best president and how he's a much better improvement over Joe Biden. But they don't realize what's really going on. They have no idea the effect this is going to have on them. And when they do, it may or may not be too late. And we cannot let that happen. Call your congressman, call your senator, fight like hell, because we have to keep the republic. And we have to keep it strong. And we have to keep it out of maniacal psychopaths like Musk and Trump, who only care about themselves and have their own agenda. And if we let them win, then what do we have left?